We were just talking about
Good afternoon. It's a great honor for me to welcome everyone to this prestigious public lecture that held by the Graduate Program of International Relations Faculty. Good afternoon. It's such a great honor for me to welcome everyone in this prestigious public lecture that held by the Graduate Program of International Relations, Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, University of Indonesia. My name is Rahmat Rafiqan Al-Hussein. As the Master of Ceremony, would like to welcome His Excellency, British Ambassador to Indonesia and Timor-Leste, the Honorable Dean of Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Universitas Indonesia, Head of Department of International Relations, Secretary of the Department of International Relations, Head of the Undergraduate Program of International Relations, Head of the Graduate Program of International Relations, and all the distinguished guests. Today's public lecture, titled UK Foreign Policy in Contemporary Global Affairs, is an opportunity to engage with key perspective on the United Kingdom's role in global dynamics, particularly in the era of complex international relations. This lecture is also held in the spirit of celebrating the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Indonesia and United Kingdom under the shared theme of People, Planet, Prosperity, and Peace. Both nations reaffirm their commitment to advancing a prosperous, secure, and sustainable future. To formally open this event, I now invite everyone to please rise for the singing of the national anthem of the United Kingdoms, God Save the King, and national anthems of Indonesia, Indonesia Raya. We will now proceed with the exchange of appreciation tokens between the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Universitas Indonesia, and British Embassy. At this moment, I would like to invite the Dean of Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Professor Dr. Sumiarto Aji Purwanto, and His Excellency British Ambassador to Indonesia and Timor Leste, Dominic Jermey, to come forward for the token of exchange.
Sounds very good.
I'm so glad you like the batik, because
Oh.
in fact, within here, we have His Majesty's batik in a slightly different colour.
Ah, so this is UK's batik.
The royal batik.
The royal
lion unicorn.
Oh, lion and unicorn batik.
So,
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you.
And this is from us. Actually, it's our logos visit here.
Thank you very much
Okay.
indeed. That's very useful.
So
Thank you.
we have the symbol of UPI.
Okay.
Maybe we
Ah,
can-
yes, the symbol of
Mm.
that. Yep. Perfect.
Very good style.
Thank you very much. Perfect. We can see.
Okay, thank you very much for the token exchange. We kindly now invite the Dean of Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Professor Sumiarto Aji Purwanto, to remain on the stage to deliver the opening remarks for and officially comment today's public lecture. To Prof. Aji, the floor is yours.
Selamat siang, teman-teman semua, hadirin semua. Kita di sini untuk mengikuti pilihan umum dari Duta Besar Inggris dan Timor Leste. So first, Your Excellency, distinguished guests, colleagues, and students, welcome to our campus, Excellencies. We say that this is our first time to visit our campus. So really hope that you can enjoy our green campus compared to Jakarta. So it is an honor to host Your Excellency today for this important and timely public lectures on UK foreign policy and contemporary global issues. And we are delighted to have you with us today. So the world today is undergoing profound transformation as well, from geopolitical tension and climate change. We have a small chat with you today, talking about this region's very watchful. So this is the term that His Excellency is quite unstable, but for us it's very dynamic geopolitical issues, right? And also the issues of climate change and the rapid development of artificial intelligence, also the AI use, and also the global health crisis we just experienced very bad COVID pandemic. The challenges we face require powerful diplomacy and strong international partnership abilities. And in this context, the United Kingdom continues to play a vital role, not only as a long-standing global power, but also as a forward-looking partner, especially in engaging with the Indo-Pacific regions. You know, again, this is very dynamic, high dynamic regions. If we talk about the geopolitical issues, yes. And the relations between the UK and Indonesia have grown steadily, spanning trade, education, and shared commitment to democratic values and a rule-based international order. And this region, again, Southeast Asia, is no longer a periphery of global activities, global affairs. It is now one of the centers of global tensions. You know, I believe that Southeast Indonesia, including Indonesia, is now playing some important role in this global diplomacy today. At the same time, we are witnessing kind of recalibration of global alignment. Okay. You know, this is very. I would talking about this quite sensitive issues. The legacy of the America First Yeah. Foreign policy under President Donald Trump has significantly shifted how international diplomacy operated today. And in response, countries such as the UK has been had to rethink their strategic positioning, balancing transatlantic ties while responding to the assertiveness of China and strengthening relationship across Asia. You know, one of the biggest issues this year is about the joining Indonesia in BRICS. This kind is another kind that reflects our current diplomacy. And we are therefore particularly eager to hear Your Excellency's perspective on how the UK navigates this shifting dynamic and what role it envisions for itself and its partners, including Indonesia, in addressing global challenges such as, again, climate change, economic inequalities, and security in the Indo-Pacific. We hope today's lecture will deepen our understanding and spark meaningful discussion about where the world is heading today and how countries like ours can shape that future together. Again, thank you very much, Excellency Ambassador, for your presence and for your sharing your insight with us today. And let us have these sessions, enjoy your presentation, and maybe not maybe I believe that we have a lot of discussion, very fruitful discussion. Again, thank you very much today.
Thank you, Prof. Adi, for the insightful opening remarks. Now we invite Mas Ali Abdullah Wibisana, PhD, Head of the Graduate Program of International Relations, to take the stage as today's moderator and guide us through the keynote session. To Mas Ali, the floor is yours.
His Excellency, Ambassador Dominic Jermey, British Ambassador to Indonesia and Timor Leste, Dean of Faculty of Social and Political Science, Professor Samyarto Purwanto, Professor Evi Fitriani, Head of Department of International Relations, esteemed scholars, students, and honored attendees. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this special guest lecture, I believe. We are extremely honored here in the Department of International Relations that we host His Excellency's guest lecture on UK foreign policy. I believe it is timely that we discuss UK foreign policy as it entered post-Brexit era, and it is now redefining its affairs in its relationship with China, its relationship with Asia in terms of economic partnership, its traditional relationship with the US, and also its historical relations with Europe. And so I think it is very timely. I think the UK's foreign policy is entering a crossroads. It's an interesting and a rather tense crossroad, not just that because of post-Brexit, but also because developments in contemporary global affairs, just marked by a lot of uncertainties and emerging challenges from new technologies. I think it is we know what are the roles that the UK can perform in engaging other states to build norms on these matters, for example. And so we are very fortunate that we have a senior diplomat among us, His Excellency Dominic Jermey. I think that International Relations Department is also increasingly internationalized in its environment, and we increasingly have international students. And so I think exploration of issues on UK foreign affairs will benefit us in expanding our knowledge and also provide us with opportunities for academic engagements. His Excellency doesn't strike me as somebody who's particularly interested in global geopolitical competition. He strikes me as somebody I think he's a naturalist, a zoologist. He's also an educationalist, as he's very concerned about education, and that makes him a great person. I think we should exploit this opportunity to expand our academic cooperation, going forward. But without further delay, please, His Excellency, the stage is yours to provide us with guest lecture. His Excellency Dominic Jermey, please.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That introduction. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bagi semua, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Selamat siang. Yang terhormat Ibu Profesor Idi Fitriani, yang terhormat Bapak Dr. Widisono, yang terhormat Bapak Dr. Broto Wardoyo, mahasiswa dan mahasiswi serta hadirin yang saya hormati. Selamat siang. Baik. Pidato saya kali ini akan berfokus kepada 4 hal. Pertama, ketidakpastian dan tantangan dalam situasi global. Yang kedua, prioritas Inggris dalam konteks ini. Ketiga, bagaimana Inggris dan Indonesia dapat bekerjasama lebih erat. Dan yang keempat, bagaimana rasanya bekerja dalam bidang diplomasi dan hubungan internasional saat ini. Dan saya senang sekali bisa hadir di sini dan bertemu dengan para calon pemimpin Indonesia. Dan saya tahu teman-teman mahasiswa di Universitas Indonesia banyak yang pandai menggunakan dengan bahasa Inggris. Oleh karena itu, izinkan saya untuk melanjutkan bicara dengan bahasa Inggris. Masih hidup di belakang? Ya. Bagus, oke. Karena ada sesi pertanyaan jawab afterwards. All right. So let me now continue. So today, as we've been discussing, and Dr. Professor Ali said, this is an area, a period of profound uncertainty. Ketidakpastian global yang mendalam. And the world is grappling with a multitude of challenges that are frankly reshaping our economic, political and social landscapes. More so, perhaps, than I've seen in the last 20, 30 years as a diplomat. So geopolitical tensions, number one, they escalated in recent years. We're seeing conflicts in various regions that are chronic conflicts, including the Middle East and now Eastern Europe, which is creating a volatile environment. The ongoing war in Ukraine, conflicts in Gaza and Sudan, this has not only caused immense human suffering, but also disrupted global supply chains and economic stability. And that matters to you and to your families because it's put prices up, it's made development in Indonesia just much harder to do. And it's also affecting your international position as a country. Number two, we're seeing economic uncertainty. Ketidakpastian ekonomi semakin memperburuk situasi global. It's compounding this global unease geopolitically. The world economy is heading towards recession. Okay, so recession is really bad for poverty indicators, it's really bad for hitting the sustainable development goals, it's really bad for the jobs you want when you leave university here. So this is not good news. We're seeing trade slowing, financial turbulence, and policy shifts that are all making this situation worse. And it's going to have profound implications for countries across the world, including the global south and including nations like Indonesia and my own, the United Kingdom. Number 3, climate change. This, sadly, is not getting any better. We're seeing extreme weather events such as heat waves, floods, wildfires, and hurricanes. They're becoming more frequent. Living in Jakarta, you've seen this over the last couple of months and over the last couple of decades. They threaten lives and livelihoods, and they strain resources and infrastructure, making it imperative for global cooperation to address environmental challenges. Number 4, social polarization and misinformation. There was a moment ago when we mentioned AI. Well, we're seeing the use of AI for good reasons and for bad reasons as well. And this increases the sense of global uncertainty. The spread of false or misleading information, it amplifies other risks from geopolitical tensions to economic instability. And fragmented societies, which are characterized by inequality, lack of economic opportunities, and the erosion of human rights, they are more vulnerable to these kind of threats. So, if that's the world that we live in, what is the UK? What is our response to that? And my response as a diplomat, as a parent, as a citizen of the world? Well, we've established as the UK 6 foreign policy priorities. I'm going to take you through what those 6 are. Number 1, growth, pertumbuhan ekonomi. This is our first priority. This is in common with President Prabowo's stated number 1 priority for Indonesia. So the UK's reputation as an attractive and stable economy is really important to us. And year after year, the UK has attracted more foreign direct investment than any other country in the world after the United States. And that is because of stable economic policy. And restoring this reputation, part of that is about deeper strategic economic partnerships with priority markets, including Indonesia, ASEAN, and other global south markets, because that is important for you, but it also improves our trading balance. And so part of what we do in my embassy is supporting UK firms securing export and investment deals in Indonesia through sustained ministerial and political and economic support. And we look to enhance global economic stability by the agreements and the treaties that we agree with Indonesia. Number 2 is security, keamanan. This is a critical priority. It is our second highest priority globally. And we look to mitigate the risks of proliferation and geostrategic conflict. And we do that as the United Kingdom, we do that as a member of the G7, we do that as a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. Addressing hybrid threats and non-state actors is critical to reducing the risks to security. And we will defend the UK and our allies by securing our interests in the Euro-Atlantic region. The security implications of China and the Indo-Pacific are also a focus, ensuring that the UK national security is protected from the direct impacts of global conflicts. What happens in your region matters to people in my country fundamentally. Number 3, and we mentioned Brexit. I didn't mention Brexit, you mentioned it. Number 3.
Apologies.
Europe, hubungan bilateral antara Inggris dan Eropa. Our third priority is Europe. Why? Because strengthening our bilateral relations in Europe is essential to delivering across all our government priorities. We want to create resilient relationships that can withstand crisis. And that is important to us because our trading relation with Europe is the biggest trading relationship that the United Kingdom has got. So from an economic point of view, it is critical. It's also really important from a geopolitical perspective, especially following the brutal and unprovoked invasion of Ukraine by Russia. Number 4, migration, migratie. The United Kingdom government has committed to disrupting people smuggling, which is a shared priority with Indonesia, and organised immigration crime through our new migration sanctions regime and joint work with international partners. Number 5, and this is something I feel personally passionately about, is climate and nature. Iklim dan lingkungan hidup. This is something where we aim to achieve, as the United Kingdom, a really ambitious, nationally determined contribution namanya apa, yang ditentukan secara nasional in the context of the UNFCCC, in order to get successful outcomes at COP30 later this year. We want to unlock greater volume and quantity of climate and nature finance to pay for adaptation and mitigation in the United Kingdom, in Indonesia, and in those countries most affected. And you, as an archipelago of 17,000 islands, with many low-lying islands, we as an archipelago as well, we are both massively affected and impacted by climate change. Nature finance needs to be mainstreamed across the financial system with specific progress on ocean treaties and forest conservation, and we are passionately committed to making sure that happens. Number 6 is development, pembangunan. Enhancing global economic stability and supporting sustainable and inclusive growth in future markets is critical to development in countries across the world, in Indonesia and in the United Kingdom. And we want to drive investment at scale for climate and development through faster reforms to the global financial system. If any of you are specialists in the global financial system, the IMF, World Bank, United Nations systems, etc., there are massive structural issues with that system and it needs reform. I look forward to discussing that with you afterwards. As the United Kingdom, our humanitarian efforts are focused on lifting vulnerable people out of crises and building resilience to shocks through stronger locally led systems. And we want to harness health and education opportunities to build human capital and to drive growth. So in conclusion, these are the 6 priority areas that reflect our dedication as the United Kingdom to building a safer, more prosperous and sustainable world. And we do that through strategic partnerships and initiatives in partnership with Indonesia and with other countries. So before I conclude, I just want to talk a little bit about the bilateral relationship with Indonesia and what my country is wanting to achieve with your country. In November last year, President Prabowo visited the United Kingdom in his first month as president of this country. And he agreed with my Prime Minister, who was in his first 6 months of Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, to pursue a new, deeper strategic partnership, kemitraan strategis yang baru dan mendalam, between Indonesia and the United Kingdom. And we will be launching that partnership later this year. This enhanced partnership will deliver a more prosperous, secure and sustainable future for the peoples of both our countries. It will provide a framework grounded in the principles of mutual respect and cooperation to deliver the full potential we see in our bilateral relationship. And we also hope it will provide a framework for our respective businesses, our academia, our universities and research institutions, our cultural organizations, and our CSOs, our LSMs, our wider societies. And we are structuring this strategic partnership in the following pillars. Number 1, sustainable economic growth, pertumbuhan ekonomi berkelanjutan. So recognizing the challenges of current global economics, President Prabowo and Prime Minister Starmer agreed we should work towards a new Indonesia-UK economic growth partnership, Kemitraan Pertumbuhan Ekonomi Inggris-Indonesia, and pursue all avenues to boost trade and investment between our two countries. So the UK supports Indonesia's application to join the OECD. We will provide a package of technical support to help you do that. We are also sharing our experience of us joining the CPTPP, that is the Perjanjian Komprehensif dan Progresif untuk Kemitraan Trans-Pacific, the accession process to that to help your membership bid. And as leaders of proud maritime nations, we appreciate the blue economy, the importance of the ocean, and we want to support Indonesia's ambitions to scale up a sustainable fishing fleet and to delivering innovative and sustainable high-end vessels with an initial project now already under development. We are supporting jobs and growth in both our countries, helping Indonesia to tackle illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing and to promote the conservation and sustainable use of your ocean resources. And we recognise the importance of robust and diverse supply chains, including for critical minerals and for food security. So recently we signed an MOU with Indonesia on a strategic partnership on critical minerals, and we've agreed with Indonesia on the need to harness innovation to support food security and food resilience in your country. The second area is around human development, pembangunan manusia. Both our governments share the view that education, health, research and innovation are essential to supporting long-term sustainable growth, and we are collaborating in these areas on artificial intelligence, digital innovation, the establishment of UK universities here in Indonesia for the first time this year with campuses in Indonesia, and looking at deepening our collaboration in the field of healthcare by supporting initiatives that enhance health education, specialist clinical expertise, research and innovation, and preparation against the next pandemic. Because, ladies and gentlemen, there will be one, and we need to work together to stop it having a devastating impact. As you are aware, President Prabowo has outlined Indonesia's national program to provide nutritious and healthy meals to school children. Proper nutrition is crucial for nurturing young minds and supporting their education. And we look forward to potential collaboration on nutrition, including through sharing best practice and lessons learned. Our third area of collaboration is defence and foreign policy, building on our mutual commitment to contribute to international peace and security. We are working together more closely in defence and security, including through a new 2+2 foreign defence dialogue, a closer partnership on cyber security, and continuing cooperation on counter-terrorism. We've also agreed to strengthen our defence industrial partnership, including developing Indonesia's Merah Putih general purpose frigate program, strengthening Indonesia's naval capacities. And another key objective is to reinforce our cooperation in multilateral fora, including the UN, the G20 and ASEAN, and to reiterate our commitment to the promotion of human rights. And then finally, climate change, energy transition and sustainable development. Perubahan iklim, transisi energi, dan pembangunan berkelanjutan. To tackle the climate and nature crises, both our governments are committed to keeping to 1.5 degrees temperature increase over pre-industrial times as a global community. And we want to do that together through ambitious, nationally determined contributions. We have reaffirmed our commitment to accelerating the just energy transition in Indonesia. So in the UK, last year we closed our final coal power station for electricity. We now do not use any coal in generating electricity or power in the United Kingdom. And we want to support that transition in Indonesia in support of your net zero targets. Our aims under this pillar are to establish a high-level policy dialogue on carbon pricing, partnerships in protecting forests and for fighting marine degradation, and accelerating the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, including on disaster risk management and low-carbon economy and narrowing gaps on digital and technology. So look, that is quite an agenda. As a career diplomat, as I look at what I'm trying to do here in Indonesia at this time of particular global challenges, my optimism is really high. If anything, the uncertainty and the challenges I've talked about are an additional motivation, if you like, for the work that we do in my embassy with the government of Indonesia together, and I think what you do as students of international relations and politics in UI. So I'm really pleased to be talking to you today, and I'm looking forward to a really good question and answer discussion now. And I just want to leave you with a thought for those of you who are thinking, maybe you want to go and join Kemlu, you want to have some career in some way as a journalist, as a researcher, as an academic in foreign diplomacy. Do not be disheartened. Jangan takut, tetap semangat, okay? Because we need good, clever, well-intentioned people now more than ever in diplomacy and foreign relations, ladies and gentlemen, because the world that my generation has created, helped to create, is in a mess. And we need people from your generation to help us sort it out and then to take it over and to do rather better than my generation has done. So, the UK, I hope, can be part of that journey for you through linkages with UI, or perhaps you might want at some point to come and study in my country. And I'm privileged that there are people here today who have been studying in the United Kingdom and are also scholarships available through the United Kingdom's Chevening program for students from Indonesia to come to the UK on master's courses at the university of your choice. And LPDP also supports students coming to the United Kingdom almost more than any other country in the world on Indonesian government scholarships. So before we move to our discussion, I just want to close in a traditional Indonesian way with a pantun. Dari Inggris sampai ke UI. Jangan lupa membeli kopi. UK Indonesia bukan sekadar relasi, tapi kolaborasi penuh inspirasi. Atau ubur-ubur ikan lele. Kemitraan UK Indonesia semakin erat leh.
Thank you, His Excellency. It's such refreshing moments. Can I help you? Okay, so, thank you for sharing your insights on UK's responses to various global challenges, and also I'm taking notes regarding UK-Indonesia partnership, and then you've also raised 6 priorities for UK's responses, from economic growth to mitigating geopolitical risks, to strengthening relationship with Europe and addressing climate change. You've also mentioned some areas of cooperation, so defense, foreign policy dialogue, cybersecurity and counterterrorism sounds to my ears, sir. That's my thing right there, cybersecurity and counterterrorism. So I'm not sure how we're gonna go forward. Now I think we have to some kind of dive deeper into some
Please.
specific initiatives, perhaps that the UK and Indonesia can implement to achieve climate change goals. Unfortunately, Indonesia just agreed to import more oil from the United States as part of its negotiation to ease U.S. tariffs to Indonesia. But I think we can talk about sustainability and it's about affordability as well, isn't it, sir? Um, energy, post-carbon technologies are not cheap. The investment for that is not exactly forthcoming in Indonesia, and so in order to make sure affordability, we still have to rely on fossil fuels. So I don't know, and we also know that post-carbon energy technology is dominated by China, and so we all have to maintain that cooperation as well. But what does it say in terms of geopolitical competition with the U.S. and also UK commitment for U.S. Containment strategy in the Indo-Pacific? So I think we can discuss some of those things maybe if it's in the interest of the audience right here. So shall we open the Q&A session? I'm not going to throw up the first punch. It's not fair. No, I don't want to do that. So please, students or lecturers, teaching staff, anyone who wants to comment or give questions to.
If I may, I should just say that we have a few gifts of mirth for really good questions, so don't be shy.
Yes, I saw. I'm looking at one. Okay, I'm going to start with female students. Right? Woman in orange shirt, and next to her is in a black shirt, and then at the back, I see a lady in striped shirt and a lady in a white shirt, and this gentleman over here with black shirt and with a batik in front of him. Okay, maybe one. That's it. That's it. I have a co-chair running around. Mas Fatah, please facilitate the questions.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Ambassador. My name is Rani, and I'm an undergraduate student from the IR program. Actually, during your speech, something came to mind because last year I had the opportunity to visit ASEAN, and one of the people I talked to there was Mrs. Sarah Tiffin, the ambassador of UK to ASEAN, and she told me that after Brexit, actually, UK foreign policy changed quite a lot in the sense that previously it was the
You can speak Bahasa. Speak your mind, whatever language.
Sorry, it's just I have a problem with my English sometimes. Yeah. So previously it was the European Union that had the ambassador to ASEAN, but after Brexit, because UK wasn't a part of it anymore, there was like the UK ambassador now, and that the UA started becoming more active in like funding flagship programs and as a dialogue partner. And it actually, I started thinking about whether Brexit significantly affected UK foreign policy in other areas as well, especially when it came to UK's relations with, say, regional institutions like ASEAN. Because what you talked about in your speech was more about how UK tried to stabilize its relations with Europe after Brexit, but I also wanted to know if Brexit also changed UK foreign policy in other areas aside from its relations with Europe, maybe in other regions or maybe in other issues. So I would be grateful if you could give your insights on that. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. All right. UK Europe relations.
Hello, good afternoon, Mr. Ambassador. My name is Aisha. I'm also an undergraduate student of international relations, just like Rani. I'm particularly interested in one of the topics that you mentioned before in your opening remark. And so, in the recent years, we have seen the increasing number of immigrants to the United Kingdom, particularly from regions such as the Middle East and South Asia. And there are videos and reports on the internet highlighting this particularly, dare I say, challenge for the government, for the British government. And we also have seen the increasing crime rate and social problems such as racism, because I said the immigrants came from South Asia and Middle East. And so my question would be, how does this domestic affairs affect the decision-making processes and United Kingdom's foreign policies regarding migration? Thank you very much.
Okay. We're going to limit it to 3 questions in the first session.
Very good.
So,
Thank you. My name is Maria. I'm a postgraduate student. And for Your Excellency, I have 2 questions for you. So the first question is probably quite my question. I learned that you were previously posted as the ambassador for Afghanistan and also the United Arab Emirates. And it's interesting to know what your view or your experience in facing these governments compared to Indonesia. Is it easier here or tougher? And why is that? And the second question is, so as the US have cut the budget for Indonesian security, sorry, I sit down. Some cooperations in security matters is decreased significantly. They are suspended and actually stopped. So, for your perspective or for the UK's foreign policy to Indonesia, do you think this is an opportunity for the UK to step in and to step up your initiatives or your assistance to Indonesia's security? That is all. Thank you.
thank you. All right. You have all the other questions.
Very good. So, thank you very much for not starting with the easy question. So maybe I'll start with your question, Rani, if I may. So it had a profound change because for the last 40 years, for the 40 years before Brexit, the way that we thought about foreign policy was seen through the lens of being integrated within the European Union. So that was foreign policy and economic policy. It was not defense and security policy. So when you think about the defense of the United Kingdom and the defense of Europe, the UK has always been a member of NATO. It continues to be a member of NATO, including with the nuclear deterrent. And that has not changed at all with Brexit. So when I was talking about some of our priorities, that second priority on security, unchanged by Brexit. Foreign policy, economic policy, you mentioned ASEAN, meeting my colleague, Ambassador Sarah. So it changed profoundly with ASEAN, because before Brexit, when ASEAN had a meeting with us, it was with the UK as one of 28 EU countries. Now ASEAN has a meeting with the UK as one country, as the United Kingdom. It has a meeting with Italy or Spain or France, with all the other 27 European countries. And so for the UK, we now have our own ambassador to ASEAN, and we have a direct relationship in a way that we did not before. And so, in fact, there has been a massive increase in our ability to engage politically and economically with ASEAN as a result of leaving the European Union. And so that's an example of how we have kind of rethought how we do some aspects of our international foreign policy. I'm just going to touch on, was it Monica? Malika's question about migrants. The United Kingdom is a country that actively depends on migration for aspects of our social policy, for the growth of our economy, etc. And so we have multiple legal routes for migration. And that is enormously welcome to our economy. And you know, I said I'm a British ambassador. My grandparents aren't from the United Kingdom. They came from another country and moved to the UK. So this is not a new policy of welcoming legal migration. This is a policy that goes back decades, centuries. It is illegal migration that we are wanting to combat. And the reason for combating is because this is a gross abuse of human rights. So there are massive international cartels, mafia, if you like, that earn a lot of money, and they don't care what they are trafficking. It could be people, it could be drugs, it could be weapons. When I was ambassador in Afghanistan, I saw drugs, people, and weapons being trafficked from Afghanistan by these people. And we will do everything in our power to stop that happening. And we do that in collaboration with Indonesia, with other countries, so that people who have good reasons and want to choose the legal routes for migration are able to do so. For example, you as students coming to the United Kingdom to come and study at a master's in a UK university, you will be incredibly welcome. And we're a diverse society that welcomes foreigners in a way that we always have done. London is a city in which there are over 200 languages spoken. It's an incredibly diverse city and country, and that isn't going to change. If I may come to Maria's question, a great question. Compared to Indonesia, what's different? What do I like more or less about UAE and Afghanistan? So you are a country of 290 million people. The UAE is a country of 10 million people, of whom 1 million are Emirati. The other 9 million are people who are migrants to go there to work, and they're very, very welcome to do that again legally. And so in the UAE, after a while, as ambassador, I kind of knew all the people who are really important in society. In Indonesia, I could be posted here for 100 years, and I still wouldn't have met the vast majority of the population of Indonesia, and I still wouldn't have gone to half of the 17,000 islands that make up this archipelago. So I think I approach Indonesia with massive humility, because the amount of Indonesia that I can possibly engage with is only a tiny fraction of the rich diversity of your country and of your people, which is one of the most appealing and wonderful things to come here as a foreigner, as a foreign ambassador. Is there an opportunity? So look, the relationship between Indonesia and the United States is a relationship I'm not going to comment on. You got the wrong ambassador if you want me to talk about that. I'll talk about the UK relationship. But we see, as I said, this is a moment of particular turmoil internationally. And so I think like-minded democracies have got to be working together on shared problems. And we should have shared challenges, stability, economic growth, climate change. These are shared challenges, but this is a moment where you can do things differently, because it's really hard internationally. And so you can look at different kinds of partnership that 1 year ago, 5 years ago, might not have been possible. And so there are opportunities to do things differently between Indonesia and the United Kingdom that I think are really quite exciting. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for pointing out Indonesia is a vast country, but we are also still a middle power. So we rely, I don't know. I think we rely more on global norms, yeah, rather than power.
Yeah.
And it's hard to not to admit that the world is veering towards power-oriented relations. But the strong do what they will, and the weak do what they must. So I don't. I'm kind of hoping that as Maria said, what could the UK do to alleviate some of the security concerns of middle powers like Indonesia in terms of uncertainties in its maritime areas. What kind of policies that the UK has until today? Yeah.
So that's a great question. I mean, there are political collaboration. So supporting you guys working together with ASEAN countries on a code of conduct for the South China Sea. And that's critically important. Working with you to ensure that we stop an escalation of tensions in South China Sea. That strikes me as critically important. Working with you by sharing intelligence, by sharing defense approaches, by training together so that our military, our navy, others can collaborate when there are shared threats. And I'll give you a great example of where we've done that brilliantly, and that's on counterterrorism. So when the Bali bombings took place 20 years ago, the vast number of people who were killed by those bombs, by Islamist terrorists, were Indonesian. There were many Australians killed, there were also many of my country women and men killed as well. But the majority of the people who suffered were Indonesian. And since then, you have, working with us and with other partners, have done an amazing job on counter-terrorism in Indonesia. You really have done an extraordinary, you've played an extraordinary role internationally as well. And we saw that, for example, when we saw that in Syria, at the very small number of people from Indonesia who went and joined the Islamic State. And you think about that from the potential of, this is the largest Muslim majority country in the world, but there were very few Indonesians. There were more British people at one point in Islamic State than there were from Indonesia. So I think counterterrorism is a great example of where you've got it right. And I think you can do that now on defense, security, intelligence, other ways, through the partnerships you make with the United Kingdom and with other partners.
Thank you, Ambassador. All right, do we have one more session for Q&A? Yeah, please. Oh. Okay, I think we have to do this side for justice. Because the gentleman over here with batik, he's been raising his hand from the first section. So, and then behind him, Ms. Rashid. And over there, at the back corner. So you have to run through the corner and give him the microphone. Go ahead, thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. Well, my name is Theophilus Setiawahidi. You can call me Theophilus. I am a master student here at the department. Well, I want to ask you normative three questions. First, I have heard that the British has ever been interested again on spiritualism, and I know that His Majesty and His Eminence, the Archbishop of Canterbury, have relationships with the government also. Would you like to explain to us the position of the Church of England in the policies of the government and the national norms of the British people. The second is I want to ask you about the Commonwealth of Nations, because in ASEAN we have two Commonwealth members and one eligible Commonwealth nation, which is Myanmar, and you have also probably be concerned when people talk about the Burmese people today. So, would you like to explain to us in normative about the Commonwealth of Nations? And the third is about the culture. As we have already known that the British is one of the champions of the arts and entertainments through the BBC and through the influences on, for example, the ABC in Australia, etc. Would you like to explain to us what the policies of the British government in the future when coming to the to talk about the prospect growth on this segment? Thank you.
Elvis.
Excuse me. Okay. Hello, my name is Rama. I have two questions for Your Excellency. First one is, what is your response regarding Indonesia joining BRICS recently in January 2025? And secondly, do the British government, the British government or maybe the British people ever consider investment, other investment maybe such as in sports, especially in Indonesia, there is very high football fan. Yeah, yeah. For example, I know there is Arsenal's soccer academy in Jakarta. So do the British open more investment opportunity for Indonesia, especially a lot of my friends actually watch EPL a lot, and they cry a lot every weekend because usually Manchester lost. So yeah.
Which side?
Oh, what do you think about this?
Very good.
Okay, very good. Yeah.
Corner.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Dominic Jermey. Speak louder, please. Okay, so my name is Algebra. I'm from the Communications undergraduate program. I'm a freshman. So I have a question that you mentioned before that the UK is committed to promoting human rights and also addressing the spread of misinformation. As we both know that this is increasingly fragmenting our societies and also heightening geopolitical tension. However, this is my question. I'm really curious on how does the UK plan to balance its advocacy, but also maintaining strategic relationship with governments that may, please underline that may have problematic human rights records. Thank you.
Okay, great question. Do you want more?
Yeah. I was thinking because there were so many hands being raised. Should we just one more?
It's up to you.
Just, no, just one person. Yeah, just one more question. Just one more question.
Which one?
This one. Yeah. Proposal. Because the enthusiasm is so
great. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about.
Speak louder.
Sorry, sir. I'm really curious about like as you know that UK is a very much developed country, and referring to what you just said earlier, that UK is a really big trader in European, especially like maintaining like a relationship and bilateral like a partnership with other countries. While on the other hand, Indonesia is a developing country, and we're still striving for our success. So there is like a very wide gap between UK and Indonesia, and there are a lot of inequalities in many aspects, especially like fundamental ones that keep the country sustainable. So in here, my question is. How can we make sure that all these relationships will somehow create an impactful movement for Indonesia? Because as we may have we may have seen earlier in the previous era, there are still a lot of like problems we're facing that are left unsolved, and this is a kind of sad and pity as a person from like a citizen of Indonesia myself looking at this. Thank you so much for
Great question. Great question.
A lot of expectation for you to solve world problems.
Okay. So I'm just going to stop there. The UK started parliamentary democracy 700 years ago. Okay? 700 years ago. And we still haven't got it right yet. Okay? So don't hurry things. It's going to take a while. You haven't been at it that long. And our experience is that, it's never going to get right. But look, Indonesia is the world's 17th largest economy. So you are a globally significant economy. You're the fourth largest country in the world. You're the largest Muslim majority in the world. So you have an important voice in global affairs. And that's one of the reasons why the UK, as the sixth largest economy, as a UN Security Council permanent member, that's one of the reasons why we want to have a strategic partnership with you, so that we can do things together, because we are both consequential nations, we're both important nations. And we're both important nations on football. So, who watched the Bahrain match? Hands up. What were you doing? Don't tell me you were in the library studying, because I don't believe you. Come on, somebody else must have watched the Indonesia-Bahrain match. Thank you, I'm glad that you were, asked a good question earlier. Okay, what football club does Marcelino play for? Thank you, Oxford United. Say no more. No. So I agree with you. I think football is an incredibly important aspect of international relations. You see that at the World Cup. For the United Kingdom, the EPL is the most fantastic export, because I can go to any part of Indonesia and I will see somebody wearing, I don't know, Manchester City or Manchester United football shirt. Whoa, Setan Merah. But even so, and so I'm incredibly proud of the impact that the EPL has, and I think it's a nice example of soft power. And speaking about the question on culture, for the UK, what do you know about the UK? What do you think about when you think of the UK? Go and give me some words. Shout out some words. Okay? Pop groups. Give me a pop group. Beatles. Okay? Yeah? Coldplay. Thank you. Yeah, did anybody see Coldplay? No, I couldn't get tickets either last year. So you think about, you can think about football, sports for the UK. You can think about popular culture, education. Lots of people want to come to the UK for their education at universities, all that kind of stuff. And that's really important soft power. So our role as government is, at one level, it is just to let it happen. Because if I try to do something with cold clay, that is not cool. That is not crème, okay? They can just do their own thing. But there are ways in which we can support UK culture in exporting. We can support UK universities to help create the right environment for them to be able to, I don't know, open up here in Indonesia. So the government can play a role, and we do have a creative economy strategy. We do, of course, have an international education strategy, and that's part of what my team at the embassy here and at the British Council do. And so that's a really important aspect of international relations. You asked about the Commonwealth. So the Commonwealth is 57 countries who come together with a shared approach to democratic values. And there have been occasions when, for example, Zimbabwe moved into dictatorship, to your point about human rights challenges. And so Zimbabwe was pushed out of the Commonwealth. And then when they became a democratic country again, they were invited to rejoin. And the same has happened with many other countries, with a number of other countries in the Commonwealth. It's a community of countries that come together for arts and culture and people reasons, as well as for sport. So it's really important, not for hard power. It's not NATO. It's also not the European Union on economics, but for people-to-people relationships and for shared values. The Commonwealth is incredibly important. And what happens at the moment in Myanmar is a tragedy, because there are hundreds of people dying every day, and it is absolutely awful. And we, as the United Kingdom, strongly support the efforts by ASEAN nations in support of the 5-point plan and trying to support peace in that country, as well as through UN efforts. And I hope that at one point it will be possible for in answer to your question, for there to be a different approach to human rights and to be a shared culture with Myanmar in a way that there is with so many other countries in the Commonwealth. Church of England, the Church of England is part of the Protestant Church. Protestant, you'll know, one of the 5 or 6 faiths recognized in Indonesia. Christian, so different from Catholic. And it plays a role in the governance of the United Kingdom, but it's increasingly, because we are a multi-faith society and we have no requirement to belong to a religion. There are millions of practicing Muslims, Catholics. There are hundreds of thousands of practicing people from other religions as well, Hinduism, Buddhism, but Confucianism. There are many atheists, there are many agnostics, and religion is something that can bring people together, but in the United Kingdom we are determined it should never, ever divide people. And so the Church of England plays a really important role in trying to bring people together and to unite them.
Indonesia joining BRICS.
Indonesia joining BRICS. Yeah. I was moving on to human rights and misinformation. But anyway, Indonesia joining BRICS. Well, look, that's a sovereign decision by the government of Indonesia, and I think that it wouldn't be appropriate for me really to comment on decisions that Indonesia has taken about groups that don't include the United Kingdom. But what I would say is that Indonesia has applied recently to join the OECD. And I'm delighted about that, because the OECD is a group of like-minded countries who want to trade together. And I think that's really important for Indonesia. And so, as I said in my speech, we will strongly support Indonesia's membership of that. And I really hope that you also, as Indonesia, become members of the Trans-Pacific Trade Agreement as well. And I'm delighted that you put yourself forward for membership of the CPTPP. Just on human rights and misinformation, I think any mature relationship between countries has got to involve discussion of topics that are challenging topics. You can't only talk about the easy stuff. And that's why in our relationship with all our closest partners, we talk about the really tough stuff. So to give you an example, one of our closest partners is the United States. And we have a very clear view on the death penalty. We always oppose it as a point of principle, always. And the reason for that is sometimes the judiciary gets it wrong in my country and in other countries. And when you've judicially murdered somebody, you cannot put that right again in any way. And so we will always oppose that. And so that's part of our conversation with the United States. It's part of our conversation with many countries. So you've got to have a broad enough conversation and relationship to be able to cover all those things. And then I'm just going to pick up on one comment you made earlier, which was about the cost of energy transition and green technology. You know what? I just disagree with you, because I think the revolution that is coming and the economy of the future is going to be a green economy. And the areas where you want to be as young people making your careers, okay, I hope you become diplomats, I hope you become journalists, I hope you become academics, I hope you support Hubungan International. But if you decide to join the broader economy, and businesses need people who understand global geopolitics as well, you want to be in the green economy. In the UK, that is where all the jobs are. That is where the really exciting technology, that's where the AI innovations is driving the prosperity and the sustainability of our economy. So yes, it can be challenging to make that transition, but you can't afford not to, because dealing with the consequences of climate change after you've got the harsh weather events, you've got the flooding, you've got the typhoons coming through that are being caused by global warming, that is massively more expensive for all our economies. So go for the green transition would be my humble suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Oh, and there's a remark from our professor.
If I may, it's a burning question. I actually expect one of my students will spill it to you, but I didn't hear it. But as we know, the biggest tragedy now is the genocide in Gaza. And we also know one of the problem causes is because of Balfour Agreement created by UK. My question is there any part of UK think they are responsible to that tragedy in Palestine? And if so, what is their solution? Thank you.
Well, did you say that tremendously challenging question to last? So let me be very clear. The killing must stop. There needs to be a sustainable peace in Palestine that secures the sustainability and the security of the State of Israel, and that secures the future of the people of Palestine in their own state. So the two-state solution is something that we must all work together and endeavour to support. We must see, at the moment, a sustainable long-term ceasefire. We must see the return of the hostages that were so brutally taken by Hamas from Israel. We must see a massive injection of international aid and support to support the reconstruction of Gaza. And we must make it very, very clear that there is a one-way route to that nationhood for Palestine that cannot be moved back on. So this is an enormous challenge for the international community. There are other enormous challenges that we are also working really hard on. And I mentioned Ukraine and the massive impact that has on hundreds of thousands of people, with many, many tens of thousands of people being killed. In my speech I mentioned Sudan, where there is a humanitarian crisis like the likes of which we have rarely seen before. And there was a question that mentioned Myanmar. which is in the local vicinity. And as a global community, we cannot turn our backs on these long-term and absolutely chronic as well as acute crises. And as the United Kingdom, as a member of the Security Council, we see a particular responsibility for us as the United Nations and as a Security Council member to get better as a global community in dealing with these issues. And that's part of our very strong conversation with Indonesia. And there needs to be reform at the United Nations. It isn't delivering what we all need as a global community right now. And I mentioned earlier in my speech, there needs to be reform of the financing of the way we approach global issues. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you, His Excellency. We are at the end of our session today. I have to mention that our postgraduate program is now signing a cooperation with University of Leeds, where yes, so students from Indonesia will spend 1 year in Indonesia and 1 year in University of Leeds. So they have a joint degree, Master of Arts in International Relations and Master of Arts from the University of Indonesia. And there's also a scholarship for that. The University of Leeds gives a discounted tuition fee. Also, there will be a scholarship from our government, but we appreciate support from the UK government for this, for the success of this joint degree program. I'm also asked to say pantun. Very good. I'll try. So I'm going to say it in Indonesian language. So I don't have time to translate. Langit cerah di Universitas Indonesia. Harum semerbak bunga kenari. 75 tahun penuh makna. Indonesia Inggris selalu bersama.
Final comment. Bersama kita bisa Pak.
Thank you very much indeed.
Oh yeah. So I'm returning back to the MC.
Okay, thank you, Mas Ali and His Excellency British Ambassador Dominic Jermey for the insightful keynote speech. We truly appreciate your time and presence with us today. Once again, please give applause for.